The Crusades were a series of religiously motivated military campaigns initiated by Western European Christians, primarily aimed at reclaiming the Holy Land from Muslim control. Spanning from 1095 to 1291, these campaigns had profound impacts on both the regions involved and the participants. Here are the key aspects of the Crusades. Initiation. The First Crusade was called for by Pope Urban II in 1095 during the Council of Clermont. The Pope aimed to assist the Byzantine Empire against the Seljuk Turks and to reclaim Jerusalem, which had fallen under Muslim control in 1071. Urban II framed the crusade as a pilgrimage with promises of spiritual rewards, including absolution from sins for those who participated. Motivations. Participants were motivated by a mix of religious fervor, the promise of land and wealth, and the opportunity for adventure. Nobles and commoners alike responded enthusiastically, leading to a diverse coalition of crusaders. Major Crusades. First Crusade, 1096 to 1099. The First Crusade was marked by significant battles such as the Siege of Nicaea, the Battle of Dorylaeum, and ultimately, the Siege of Jerusalem in 1099, which resulted in a brutal conquest and massacre of its inhabitants. 12. The success led to the establishment of several Crusader states, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Subsequent Crusades. The Second Crusade, 1147 to 1149, was launched in response to the fall of Edessa but ended in failure. The Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, known as the King's Crusade, featured notable leaders like Richard the Lionheart and aimed to recapture Jerusalem after its loss to Saladin in 1187. This crusade also ended without achieving its primary objective. Later Crusades. Subsequent campaigns, including the Fourth Crusade, 1202 to 1204, deviated from their original purpose, culminating in the sack of Constantinople rather than a focus on the Holy Land. The later Crusades faced declining support and effectiveness, with most territories lost by 1291. Impact. Cultural exchange. The Crusades facilitated cultural exchanges between East and West, leading to increased trade, knowledge transfer, and interactions between different religions and cultures. This period saw the introduction of various Eastern goods and ideas into Europe. Political consequences. The establishment of Crusader states created a lasting European presence in the Levant for nearly 2 centuries, but also led to ongoing conflicts with Muslim powers. These states were often politically unstable and reliant on support from Europe. Religious tensions. The Crusades intensified religious animosities between Christians and Muslims, contributing to long-term hostilities that would influence relations for centuries. They also affected Christian relations with Jews and Eastern Orthodox Christians, particularly after events like the Fourth Crusade. In summary, the Crusades were complex events driven by a mix of religious zeal, political ambition, and economic interests that reshaped medieval Europe and its interactions with the Islamic world. Their legacy continues to influence historical narratives and interfaith relations today. The call for the First Crusade in 1095 was driven by a complex interplay of religious, political, economic, and socio-cultural factors. Here are the main reasons behind this significant historical event. Religious factors. Religious fervor. The primary motivation for the First Crusade was a deep-seated religious zeal among Christians. Pope Urban II urged the Knights of Europe to liberate the Holy Land, particularly Jerusalem, from Muslim control, framing it as a sacred duty for Christians to reclaim their holy sites. Remission of sins. Urban II promised that those who participated in the crusade would receive forgiveness for their sins. This promise of spiritual rewards was a powerful incentive in a deeply religious society, encouraging many to take up arms. Pilgrimage ideals. Jerusalem was considered the holiest city in Christendom, and rescuing it was viewed as a noble and honorable act. Many Christians saw participation in the crusade as a form of pilgrimage with significant spiritual merit. Political factors. Byzantine appeal. The Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos sought military assistance from the west to combat the Seljuk Turks, who were threatening his empire. His plea for help at the Council of Piacenza and later at Clermont provided a direct catalyst for Urban's call to arms. Strengthening papal authority. Pope Urban II aimed to increase the power and influence of the papacy. By rallying support for the crusade, he sought to unify Christendom under his leadership and diminish internal conflicts among Christian factions. Noble ambitions. Many European lords viewed the crusade as an opportunity to expand their territories and gain wealth and status. The prospect of acquiring land in the east was appealing to many knights and nobles. Economic factors. Economic advancement. The Crusades offered opportunities for economic gain through plunder and access to trade routes. With Western Europe's economy growing, there was increasing demand for Eastern goods, making participation in the Crusades financially attractive. Land and wealth. Participants hoped to acquire land and wealth by conquering territories in the Holy Land. This prospect motivated many who sought better fortunes than what was available in Europe at the time. Sociocultural factors. Militarization of nobility. The increased militarization of European society meant that many knights were eager for adventure and glory in battle. The crusade provided an outlet for their ambitions and desires for honor. Population control. The Church encouraged knights and younger sons, often seen as disruptive elements in society, to participate in the Crusades as a means of population control, redirecting their aggression towards a common enemy. Christian unity. Despite existing rivalries among Christian factions, the idea of a common enemy helped foster unity among various groups within Christendom, promoting alliances that might not have existed otherwise. In summary, the call for the First Crusade was motivated by a multifaceted array of religious fervor, political ambitions, economic opportunities, and social dynamics that collectively spurred thousands to embark on this monumental journey to reclaim Jerusalem and other holy sites from Muslim control.